Hey guys, tonight, we step quietly into the shadows of history, waking in a cold, dark room where the only light is the flicker of dying embers and the threat of what tomorrow might bring. You probably won't survive this life, at least not comfortably, but that's exactly the point. You are a medieval assassin, a shadow in the night, a whisper on the wind. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, drop your city and local time in the comments. I love seeing where you're tuning in from. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You wake before dawn, wrapped in the cold that bites through threadbare blankets and better than nothing wool cloaks. The stone walls around you are damp, the air stale with the scent of sweat and wood smoke. Your muscles ache, tonight's lesson was long and unforgiving. You hear the faintest creak from the floorboards as someone else shifts in the darkness, but you remain still, ears attuned to every sound. The world outside is black, but your mind races through everything you've learned, every step you'll have to take. Once the sun finally dares to rise, you know that patience is your closest ally. Move too fast, and you'll be caught. Speak too loud, and your secrets will unravel. You breathe slow and steady, trying to still the nervous flutter in your stomach. The life you lead demands quiet focus and the ability to become invisible, something you're still learning to master. It's a cruel dawn for a young assassin in training. But then history tells us survival was always a game of shadows. Historians still argue whether assassins operated in organized guilds or as lone wolves navigating a treacherous maze of loyalty and betrayal. Either way, your existence begins tonight in the silence before the storm. The chill of the night lingers as you step lightly through the village streets, boots muffled by years of dirt and the soft damp of moss. The moon hangs low, pale and watchful, casting long, skeletal shadows from the crooked timber houses. Every sound seems amplified, the distant bark of a dog, the whistle of wind through broken shutters, the soft drip of melting frost. You pause, heart steady, but alert eyes scanning the windows for any flicker of light or sign of life. Your hands rest near the worn hilt of your dagger, a trusted friend whose cold steel you'll need before dawn. You've been trained to blend into the dark, to move like a ghost, with no breath, no weight. But the village is not empty. It breathes beneath the snow's blanket. A group of late-night revelers laugh too loudly by the tavern, their voices cutting through the silence like jagged glass. You curse their poor timing, but know better than to interfere. Patience is part of your craft. Climbing the narrow stairs to the roof of a deserted building, you settle into a crouch beneath a crumbling chimney. From this vantage, you see the target's house, a modest place marked by the careful stacking of firewood and a single shuttered window glowing faintly with candlelight. Tonight's assignment is clear, a quiet removal, a whispered end to a tangled feud. Your cloak, heavy with winter's weight, muffles your movements, but your breath still plumes like smoke in the frigid air. You draw a thin blade from your boot, its edge honed sharp enough to slice through silence and sinew alike. Every sense sharpens the crunch of frost underfoot, the distant toll of a bell, the faintest murmur behind closed doors. Yet beneath the calm, your mind races with doubts. The life of an assassin is as lonely as it is dangerous. You dream sometimes of a normal day one, without blood, without shadows. But those days are as distant as the sun behind the winter clouds. You remind yourself survival here means embracing the darkness, becoming the unseen. Historians still argue whether assassins of the medieval period acted with political motivations or personal vendettas. Maybe it was always a bit of both. You descend silently from the rooftop feet, finding purchase on frost-hardened tiles, as if the night itself is aiding your every step. The village sleeps in fits and starts unaware of the shadow slipping through its heart. Your path leads you along narrow alleyways lined with stacked barrels and discarded wooden crates, places where rats scurry and secrets hide alike. Every corner might harbor danger, loyal guards, nosy neighbors, or worse, a snare laid by those who know your kind too well. Approaching the target's back door, you pause, hand on the cold iron latch. It creaks softly, too loudly, but you have no choice. Inside the house, smells of damp wood, burning tallow, and the faint metallic tang that always sets your nerves on edge. This is no royal hall, but a modest home where power wears a quieter mask, and danger lurks beneath well-worn floorboards. You slip inside like a wraith, every muscle coiled to strike or flee. Your eyes adjust quickly to the flickering candlelight revealing simple furniture, a wooden table, a stool, a hearth with embers long dead. Somewhere a cat stretches lazily, unbothered by your presence. You envy its oblivion. The target sleeps upstairs. You ascend the rickety stairs with practiced ease, each creak a reminder that this is no place for mistakes. At the door to the chamber, you pause. The muffled breathing beyond is steady, ignorant of the peril closing in. Your hand tightens around the hilt of your dagger, cold and familiar. This is the moment you trained for, the moment that will define you or end you. You glance briefly at the faded tapestry hanging beside the door, depicting a knight's triumph over a dragon. The irony is not lost. Tonight you are neither knight nor dragon, but something in between, the quiet end to a whispered story. As you push the door open, a sudden noise, a creak, a breath, a cough startles you. Your heart pounds, but your blade is ready. In this life, hesitation is the greatest enemy. Historians still debate how many medieval assassinations succeeded without bloodshed or betrayal. The truth is often hidden in the silence. The blade slides through the dim air, a whisper of cold steel seeking its mark in the darkness. Your target shifts, startled, awake eyes wide with shock and confusion, so much so that for a moment you see not a foe but a frightened man. There's no time for mercy here. Your world demands efficiency, precision, and the absolute silence that follows. The deed done, you retreat swiftly down the narrow stairwell, heart pounding like a war drum in your chest. Outside, the village is beginning to stir, unaware that the balance of power has shifted in the shadows. Your cloak, heavy and stained, flutters like a ghost as you vanish into the gray morning mist. Your fingers tremble not from cold, but from the weight of what you've done and what you must do next. Vanish. Blend into the crowds, the market stalls, the muddy streets where gossip flows faster than water. A whispered rumor here, a furtive glance there, the hunt will begin soon, and your survival depends on invisibility. You slip into the marketplace just as vendors prepare their wares, barrels of salted fish, bundles of herbs, and rough-spun cloth. No one looks twice at a hooded figure with eyes like sharpened flint. The dog barks somewhere behind you, a sharp crack in the morning quiet. You pause, scanning the faces around, heart hammering. This life is a constant game of masks and shadows. Friends can become foes overnight. Betrayal lurks in the smallest gesture. You learn early that trust is a dangerous luxury and solitude a bitter but necessary companion. There are tales whispered of legendary assassins who never failed, who vanished like smoke on a breeze. But you know better. Most end up caught or broken, remembered only in hushed curses or forgotten altogether. Historians still argue whether assassins were organized guilds or lone wolves driven by desperation and skill. Perhaps like most things, the truth lies somewhere in the twilight. You tuck your dagger away beneath your cloak, ready for whatever comes next. You spend the daylight hours in plain sight, but never quite at ease. Every glance feels loaded. Every shadow could hide an enemy. You move with purpose, delivering messages, gathering supplies, but your mind is a cage of whispered warnings and calculated escapes. Every step echoes with the knowledge that someone somewhere watches. In the tavern, the warmth is a sharp contrast to the chill biting your skin. The scent of spilled ale and smoked meats clings to the air like a stubborn fog. You sit in the corner, nursing a thin broth that tastes like a memory eyes flicking to the door, to the faces, to the flicker of a knife beneath a cloak. The chatter is a low hum, mostly gossip complaints about taxes and the latest lord's decrees, but beneath it simmers something darker. You remember the legends of poisoners, who could strike unseen, the silent killers with vials hidden in their sleeves. But you also recall the countless assassins who met their end in tavern brawls or drunken mistakes. Skill is vital, but luck is an equally cruel mistress. You listen as a hushed conversation drifts over a dispute over a noble's betrayal, a feud festering like a wound in the village's heart. These are the real assignments, tangled politics, vendettas masked as justice lives, hanging by a thread woven in silence. You check your weapons discreetly, a dagger balanced on the table's edge, a hidden knife strapped beneath your sleeve. They are your closest allies and your harshest judges. No armor, no banners, just deadly intent wrapped in wool and leather. Historians still argue whether medieval assassins were seen as mere criminals or shadowy instruments of power wielded by the elite, though the truth likely shifts depending on who's telling the story. The fire crackles nearby, drawing your attention back to the present. You steel yourself. Night is coming, and with it another chance to disappear into the dark. Night falls like a curtain, thick and sudden, swallowing the village whole. The streets empty quickly, save for the occasional flicker of a lantern or the distant clatter of hooves on cobblestones. You slip into the shadows, cloak pulled tight around you, hood drawn low to conceal your face. Every breath crystallizes in the cold air, a brief mist that vanishes as quickly as your footsteps on the frost-hardened earth. Your mission tonight is simple in theory. Reach the manor, move unseen, gather what you came for, and vanish like smoke on the wind. But the path is riddled with dangers, guards pacing in slow circles, dogs that seem to sense your presence, and the ever-watchful eyes of windows glazed with torchlight. You hug the walls, using every nook and cranny as cover. The scent of damp stone and burnt wood fills your nostrils as you pass beneath the eaves. Your fingers brush the rough texture of the walls, steadying you, grounding you in the moment. Suddenly a flicker, a shadow moving just ahead. You freeze, heart thudding like a drum in your chest. It's a sentry cloak, wrapped tightly, spear in hand. You melt into the darkness, holding your breath until his footsteps fade away. The manor itself looms a dark silhouette against a starless sky. Its windows glimmer with candlelight, promising warmth and secrets within. You know the layout, memorized through whispered intel and patient observation. The servants' quarters offer a way in less guarded, though no less risky. Inside, the air is thick with smoke and the clatter of distant voices. You move silently through narrow corridors, muscles tense, senses alert. The target, a locked chest rumored to hold documents that could topple powerful men, waits just beyond a heavy oak door. Picking the lock, you feel the familiar thrill mingled with dread. One false move, one creak too loud, and your life could end here beneath these ancient beams. Historians still argue whether medieval assassins preferred direct confrontation or stealthy evasion. What's clear is that both demanded nerves of iron and an intimate knowledge of darkness. You pocket the papers, retrace your steps with equal care, and slip back into the cold embrace of the night. The chill of the night air bites sharper now as you dart between shadows, clutching the stolen papers close to your chest. Every rustle of dead leaves beneath your boots sounds like a clarion call, each distant bark a warning bell. You pause beneath a twisted yew, watching the flicker of lanterns, searching the perimeter, faces grim and voices hushed but urgent. Your heart pounds loud enough to drown out the cold. The weight of the mission presses heavy, but so does the cold iron of your dagger strapped at your side, a last resort, a grim promise. You adjust the hood, knowing that if discovered, escape means nothing without the blade. The village lies quiet, but that silence is a treacherous cloak. Eyes peer from behind shutters, and the occasional clang of armor echoes down narrow alleys. You move with practiced ease, weaving through familiar streets with the ghost-like grace of a shadow. A sudden scuffle to your left, two guards bickering about the latest rumors of rebellion. They pause, glance your way, and you freeze, body tense as a drawn bowstring. Their footsteps recede. Luck this time. You reach the edge of the forest, where moonlight dances on frost-covered branches. The woods offer shelter, but no sanctuary. Wolves howl in the distance, a reminder that nature is as merciless as man. You stop to catch your breath, eyes scanning for pursuers. The stolen secrets burn a hole in your pouch, yet they are your shield and sword in the war that unfolds beyond these quiet moments. Historians still debate whether medieval assassins operated solo or as part of hidden networks. Whispers tell of secret societies bound by blood and oath, though proof remains elusive. You step beneath the trees, swallowed by darkness and purpose, the night swallowing your form like ink spilled on vellum. Dawn breaks cold and gray, slipping hesitantly over the battlements and winding streets. You find yourself nestled in the shadow of a crumbling wall, watching as the town slowly wakes, unaware of the night's unseen drama. Smoke spirals lazily from thatch roofs, mingling with the morning mist, while vendors begin to lay out their meager wares on rickety carts, dried fish, coarse bread, and pungent cheeses. Your fingers ache from the night's chill, still trembling beneath your gloves, but your mind races ahead, planning the next move, calculating risks, and remembering every whispered instruction passed under the moonlight. The stolen documents rest heavy against your side, a fragile lifeline in a sea of suspicion. Nearby, a ragged priest ambles past, clutching his rosary, murmuring prayers that float through the cold air like fragile threads of hope. You envy that simplicity, but your path is tangled in shadows and silence. As the marketplace hums to life, you slip among the crowd, your cloak drawn tight, face obscured beneath a worn hood. The guards, stiff and alert, patrol in pairs, their eyes sharp but not yet trained on you. It's a fleeting advantage, one you intend to keep. You pass a group of children playing with makeshift wooden swords, their laughter a brittle sound against the winter's chill. For a moment, you wonder if they know the price of the peace they enjoy, or if the world will teach them as harshly as it has taught you. Historians still argue whether medieval assassins ever sought redemption, or if their lives were purely contracts, sealed with blood and betrayal, their souls lost to the darkness they embraced. You reach a narrow alley, the scent of damp stone and old secrets thick around you, and slip inside, blending into the mosaic of the waking city. Every breath you take is a careful calculation, every heartbeat a countdown, and the day has only just begun. The city's pulse quickens as midday approaches, but you remain cloaked in shadow, moving with the practiced grace of a ghost. Your target is a merchant, a man with too many secrets and too many enemies. His stall sits nestled between a blacksmith's forge and a bakery that smells of burnt crust and sorrow. You watch him from across the square, noting the nervous twitch in his fingers and the way his eyes dart behind thick spectacles. Your tools lie hidden beneath your cloak, small knives sharpened to whispers, a slender garrote coiled like a serpent ready to strike. Every muscle in your body is taut, waiting for the right moment to unravel the day's plan. Nearby, a street performer juggles flaming torches, the flames flickering like the fleeting chances of success in your world. Children gather around, clapping and laughing their innocence, a stark contrast to your cold purpose. You catch sight of a stray cat slinking along the alley's edge, its green eyes gleaming with the same alertness that keeps you alive. In the distance, a bell tolls reminders of the church's unyielding presence, a call to prayer or a knell for the unaware. Your heart pounds as you close the distance, slipping between bustling shoppers and nervous guards. You're careful to avoid the merchant's gaze, focusing instead on the quiet moments, the brief glances, the fleeting touches, the whispered deals. Historians still debate whether medieval assassins operated more as shadowy agents of political intrigue, or were simply desperate souls caught in cycles of violence and survival. As the merchant turns to haggle with a customer, you step forward, the world narrowing to a